from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Oh, peace, peace, peace.
I am reading from the book Swami Adbhutananda, Teachings and Reminiscences by Swami Chetanananda. Here, these reminiscences are from one person, Kumud Bandhu Sen. He was a householder devotee and met many of the direct disciples of Shri Ramakrishna. He writes, one occasion at Alam Bazar, I was listening to Swamis Sharadananda and Yogananda talking about Shri Ramakrishna. Latu Maharaj was sitting on the front part of the southern veranda. Just then, a Kirtan party came wending its way down the street. And as Latu Maharaj heard their devotional singing, he went into an ecstatic state. Swami Sharadananda noticed his condition at once and cried out, Latu is in ecstasy. See that he doesn't fall. The Swamis went over to Latu Maharaj and began to chant the name of the Lord. They chanted for some time. At last, Latu Maharaj regained normal consciousness of the outer world. He said simply, nothing happened. Then he hurried off in the direction of Sri Ramakrishna's shrine. This was the first time I had ever seen anyone in Samadhi. The Swamis resumed their conversation and made no mention of the incident. I understood later that such experiences were common among the direct disciples, and they did not consider it as a matter requiring any particular comment. At the Alam Bazar monastery and later at Nilambar Babu's garden house and at Belur Math, I noticed that both Swamiji, that is Swami Vivekananda, and Swami Brahmananda would poke fun at Latu Maharaj, and he would believe them like a simple boy. For example, he would always slip away as soon as any one of Swamiji's Western disciples came in sight. One day, Swamiji said to him in jest, Brother Latu, this time you will have to go to America. Many people want you to meet you, for they know that you were the most favorite disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. With some embarrassment, Latu Maharaj said, Brother Laurent, I shall not go. Their manners and customs are different. I would not be able to adjust. What? Said Swamiji. They are also devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, and by his name the whole country has become holy. They will love and respect you. With folded hands, Latu Maharaj replied, No, you must excuse me, brother. I cannot go. I am an illiterate person. What do I know? I cannot talk to them. I don't know their language. The conversation continued in this vein for some time. Finally, Swami Brahmananda broke in. Nevertheless, they will catch you and force you to go to America. At this remark, Latu Maharaj's face paled and everyone laughed. One day at Balaram's house, I asked Latu Maharaj to give me his impression of Sri Ramakrishna. He said rather gravely, Did you see Swami Vivekananda? What did you notice about him? He was a man of bliss, I replied. Since he had this bliss, those who saw him and heard him would also get a taste of it. Then Latu Maharaj's face beamed and he said, Swamiji was a man of bliss, that is true. Now think of Sri Ramakrishna, who was 100 times more blissful. There is nothing to be compared with that bliss. After saying this, he once again became serious, and as I watched him, he became even more serious and indrawn. Seeing this unlettered disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, I used to think, how negligible and how narrow is scriptural knowledge compared to his knowledge, which has come through realization and direct perception. He expresses the most abstruse philosophical matters in such simple language. How wonderfully is Sri Ramakrishna's miraculous power revealed in the life of Swami Adbhutananda. One day, Swami Abhedananda told me how hard he had worked in the West to preach the ideals of Sri Ramakrishna, and how after Swamiji's passing, his lecturing earned much praise from many Western savants. I said to him, Maharaj, You and Swamiji are accomplished speakers and knowers of Brahman. It is no wonder that through the grace of Shri Ramakrishna, these things have come to you. But Latu Maharaj was unlettered. His wonderful life and his knowledge are brilliant examples of Shri Ramakrishna's miraculous power. Avedanandaji was moved by these words and said gently, "Yes, you are right. We brother disciples consider Latu Maharaj to be Shri Ramakrishna's greatest miracle. A great soul such as he is very rare." Yes.
No, very short period of meditation. Good morning and welcome to the first Sunday service after the winter vacation. Today's talk is a miracle of Sri Ramakrishna. We know Sri Ramakrishna didn't like miracle. He said miracle is like the dropping of animals. One day he was talking with Yam about Jesus, and he was describing how Jesus brought Lazarus to life by just saying, Lazarus come forth, and Lazarus came to life. The dead Lazarus came to life. Sri Ramakrishna heard this and said, but I will not be able to do this. He said he didn't like miracles, like turning water into wine, or feeding many people with 2 loaves. He didn't do those miracles, but his life was full of miracles. How he changed the lives. This is Sri Ramakrishna loved to make images of gods. He used to mold beautiful images of Shiva and other gods when he was young. When he underwent sadhana and had the spiritual empowerment by the grace of the Divine Mother, then also he started making images. He started turning human beings into divine persons by changing their attitude and changing their vision. Every transformation of human beings who came in contact with Sri Ramakrishna is not a sort of miracle. Girish Ghosh, a bohemian, a drunkard, himself says, there is no sin that I have not committed, and where I sit 7 cubic feet become, the ground and 7 cubic feet deep become unholy. That person became saintly. What was the power? It was Sri Ramakrishna's miracle that changed Girish Ghosh, the drunkard, into a saintly person. Kalipada Ghosh. Even Swami Vivekananda, very strong personality, not bending to anything, and he didn't believe in form of God because he was a member of Brahma Samaj who said No, we won't worship images, God in images. And how Sri Ramakrishna motivated and turned him to a follower of Sanatana Dharma. Very traditional process of the dharmic ways that moved Hindu religion for thousands of years, accepting every form of worship, whether image worship or formless worship of the formless God, or all came in the life of Swami Vivekananda. That was Sri Ramakrishna. Every act of faith, every touching the personality, every transformation he created in human beings is not less than a miracle. Turning this Latu, Rakturam, into a saint is not less than a miracle. Swami Vivekananda himself said it is the greatest miracle of Sri Ramakrishna. Other transformations were simple miracles, but this is the greatest miracle. Because Rakturam was born in a village in Bihar, in Chapra district, in very illiterate family. Not only that, his both parents died when he was only 5 years old. A village boy and he had to look after sheep. He was a shepherd boy. Extremely poor, totally illiterate, no one to take care, no love, parental love from very childhood. This boy was taken care of by his uncle. And his uncle found a job in Calcutta and he brought Rakturam with him. Now, maybe a teenager. And somehow got job of a servant, attendant in a store, stationery store of Dr. Ramchandra Datta. Ramchandra Datta was a chemist in the Calcutta Medical College, professor of chemistry. And he was an ardent disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. How this connection happens, you see. After some time, that stationery shop that was closed, and what to do to this Rakturam, who had no relative. So they brought him as their servant at home, that Ramchandra Datta and his wife. And he started working there. No, he couldn't speak Bengali properly, he couldn't speak Hindi properly. Hindi was the village rustic village dialect, Bhojpuri Hindi. And no one didn't get any love from his mother or father, doesn't remember that. And this person now hears about Sri Ramakrishna from Ramchandra Datta, who used to talk to his friends about Sri Ramakrishna. Oh, Sri Ramakrishna said that God sees the attitude of a person. He doesn't look how the person is. It's how the person's mind, that matters for God. Not the status, not the scholarship, not any other thing, but the mind. He hears that, oh, God is that way. Sri Ramakrishna must be great. Another time, Ramchandra Datta said, Sri Ramakrishna told that if one can weep for God, God can reveal. God is realizable. Who says that God cannot be seen? Now you hear one Hindi song. Who says that Krishna cannot be seen? Krishna cannot be fed? You don't feed like Yashoda feeding him. That's why you don't find Krishna to feed. Like that, Sri Ramakrishna said, if you live in solitude and weep, cry with focused mind, God has to reveal. It is not only Dhruva and Prahlada saw God. Even in this Kali Yuga, in this our age, God can be realized. And Sri Ramakrishna's words came from his own experience. How God can be revealed. God is. God can be revealed. God can be seen. God can be talked with. That Sri Ramakrishna said. And that Ramchandra Datta was just talking to his friends and Latu heard. Now an interest came to see Sri Ramakrishna. And one day, he requested Ram, can I go to see your Sri Ramakrishna? You often talk about him and he lives in Dakshineshwar. Ramchandra Datta loved this Latu. He was very sincere at work, very simple. Sometimes his wife doubted about his honesty. And someone of his friends said, oh, he might take away some money, be careful about that. And some doubt came and he she tried to blame Latu. Latu said, I am your servant, but I am not a thief. Madam, he was so bold. He could just say that because of his honesty and truthfulness. This Latu comes to Sri Ramakrishna. Now, they are entering through the west porch. That was the door. And Latu was standing there. Somehow Sri Ramakrishna, humming some song, came to that place and saw Latu. He said to Ramchandra, where did you get this boy? And I find that he has a very sadhu-like quality. He will become a holy man. I can see in him. In that boy, rustic boy, village boy, illiterate boy, Sri Ramakrishna sees a sadhu hiding there. Now, what these sculptors, they know, they say that how do they make beautiful images of person or things from the stone? They say they actually see the images hiding there inside. They just remove the obstacles and the image comes out. That's how they describe the sculptors. They describe how do they do sculpturing. That they will remove the stone, extra stone, and the hiding image, what they have in their mind, that they have seen through their mind, it just reveals. That's how this sculpturing is been described by them. Sri Ramakrishna also saw the hidden sadhu who would become a saintly person in Adbhutananda. And they all came inside. Yam said, come in. He was a little shy, this Latu to come inside. Then Sri Ramakrishna went and touched him. Just Sri Ramakrishna's touch, and Latu started crying, shedding tears. What transpired in that touch? Isn't that miracle? Only to touch, and whole situation, whole mind changes, and the mind starts floating in the bliss, and you start, tears of joy start flowing from the person that came, and then he came inside. That was the first meeting with Sri Ramakrishna, Latu's meeting, January 1880, that time. So he was with Sri Ramakrishna for about 4 years, and how Sri Ramakrishna turned this boy from a simple servant to a sadhaka, to a lover of God, is a wonderful story. After some time, Hridaya had to leave Dakshineshwar in 1881. Now, Sri Ramakrishna asked Ramchandra Datta, his own disciple, a great friend, and he said, can you give Latu to me? I want one attendant, someone to take care of me. And Ramchandra readily agreed. Whatever Sri Ramakrishna had asked, he would have given. Of the few people who understood Sri Ramakrishna as incarnation of God, among the first was Ramchandra Datta and Girish Chandra Ghosh. They started proclaiming that Sri Ramakrishna is not ordinary sadhaka or ordinary saint. He is the incarnation of God. Then later came Bhairavi Brahmani. Of course, Bhairavi Brahmani also said that he is an incarnation of God and proved from the scriptures. But they were first to proclaim that way. So Ramchandra Datta, whatever Sri Ramakrishna would have asked, he would have given. Of course he would stay with him. Then Latu started staying with Sri Ramakrishna. Great joy for him. And he started doing personal service. Once he was pressing Sri Ramakrishna's feet, he touched the feet of Sri Ramakrishna. Now first Sri Ramakrishna touched him and he started crying. Now he touches Sri Ramakrishna and he starts crying, shedding tears. As long as he pressed the feet, stroked the feet of Sri Ramakrishna, all he was crying in an emotional, upsurged emotional mood he was, touching the feet of God. Sri Ramakrishna started guiding him in the spiritual life. Once Latu was found sleeping in the evening time, tired of work, used to do every work for Sri Ramakrishna, used to help Holy Mother. Sri Ramakrishna said, if you sleep now, when will you practice meditation? You should not sleep this time. He was such a determined person, he gave up sleeping altogether during daytime. At night also, he used to do tapasya japam. That we know Baranagar incident. In Baranagar monastery, all brother disciples, after Sri Ramakrishna passed away, we were living in a room. At night they found some sound coming. Cut, 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 cut. They said, what happened? It was an old dilapidated house. Somebody thought there might be some rats or mice there moving here and there. So whenever somebody woke and put the hurricane on, till then the rat was gone, sound was off, and everything was nice. Again, when everybody slept, then sound was coming. Then at one day they thought something wrong is there. One day they didn't put the hurricane, that lamp totally off. They just made the wick low. And when the sound was coming, they suddenly increased the light wick. The whole room was lighted, and it was found that Latu Maharaj was sitting and doing japam on his mala, repeating the name of God on his mala, and that was the sound coming. They caught him. It was the dead of night. Everyone was sleeping. He would not sleep. Early in the morning, he could choose some sleeping time. That was Latu Maharaj's sadhana that started Sri Ramakrishna. Then Sri Ramakrishna guided him how to meditate. And he started meditating. He started so deep meditation that once in the Shiva temple, he was perspiring and meditating. Sri Ramakrishna saw he's sweating. He didn't wake him up. He went there and Sri Ramakrishna started fanning him. It was hot, month of April, and he started fanning. Latu Maharaj came to normal consciousness, saw his own master was serving him. He was supposed to serve his master. Now master was serving him. He was embarrassed. But that was Sri Ramakrishna. That to serve Sri Ramakrishna was also, it was allowed by Sri Ramakrishna to be served. That was also service of Sri Ramakrishna to the attendant, to allow attendant to serve him. One day Latu was meditating in Panchavati. Sri Ramakrishna went there and said, "Hello, you are meditating?" He was in deep meditation. And hearing Sri Ramakrishna's voice, he woke up. He came to normal consciousness and said, "On whom you are meditating, she is kneading dough and trying to make bread. And you are meditating on that person?" He was saying about the Holy Mother. "Go and help her." So Latu went there, and after that it was Holy Mother and Latu. Whatever Holy Mother needed to cook food, to bring vegetables, to make the heart for cooking food, Latu was always there. That was his spiritual practice. When you serve these holy men, it is not less than meditation. Meditation tries to take us towards the divine, and serving them takes us quicker to the divine. That's what this Karma Yoga, selfless action, association with the holy, that comes. Latu was such a great, he started transforming into a great saintly person. And when Sri Ramakrishna was sick in Kasipur, Latu was serving, putting the clothes in the sun and doing everything there. And Sri Ramakrishna passed away. Then all went here and there. Latu started deep practice. Of course, this 4 year also he did a lot of practice. After Sri Ramakrishna passed away, he used to meditate on the Ganga, bank of Ganga. Sometimes this ebb tide will come and Ganga will rise, and then sometimes he will be in water. People came and rescued him. Once Sri Ramakrishna time also it happened. Somebody said, he was meditating, Ganga already came to his seat. He was unaware. And Sri Ramakrishna came and woke him, take him out from that waters. So that was the deep meditation that Latu Maharaj came. As the days rolled by, he was recognized as a great saint by the people. As Swami Vivekananda said, it's the greatest miracle. Swami Turiyananda used to say, we had to go through the mud of knowledge, reading scriptures and all that. He describes it as the mud through which he had to go reading Shastras. And Latu didn't have to go through the mud puddle, and he jumped this mud puddle and directly went to God, because he didn't know any scriptures. But see his how much he had the knowledge of scriptures without reading scriptures, like his own guru. His guru Sri Ramakrishna didn't read any scriptures, but so Adbhutananda ji Also without reading scriptures, how much the inside of the scriptures he had. Another story was told by Swami Sarvananda. One day, a monk was reading the Katha Upanishad to Latu Maharaj. He came to this verse, the Purusha no larger than a thumb, the inner self, always dwells in the heart of men. Let a man separate him from the body with perseverance, as one separates the tender stalk from a blade of grass. As Latu Maharaj heard this passage, he cried out, Exactly! He must have reached that state himself. Otherwise, he couldn't have understood that abstruse Sanskrit passage. When Swamiji was traveling in Kashmir, he bought a beautiful, expensive shawl for Latu Maharaj. Sometimes later, Latu Maharaj went to visit Sharat Chandra Chakravarti, a disciple of Swamiji, and wore the shawl. Sharat Chandra admired it, and at once Latu Maharaj took it off and presented it to him. You like it, Sharat? Good. This costly thing is not meant for a monk. I have worn it for just one day. As it is a gift from Swamiji, it would give me great pleasure if you would accept it. Sharat Chandra felt somewhat abashed, but Maharaj, it is a gift to you from my Guru. How can I accept it? He gave the shawl back to Latu Maharaj. This story reached Swami Vivekananda, who later said to Sharat Chandra, you should have accepted the shawl. You know Latu is whimsical. He might give it away to anyone. If we had taken it, at least it would never be lost. So when some great person gives some gift, it is the blessing that Sharat Chandra didn't realize. He thought it is very important for Latu Maharaj, who was a monk who was totally detached. We know the life of Swami Brahmananda. He was meditating on the bank of Ganga. And it was winter time, one devotee came and he brought blankets. And as he was meditating, he just put near Swami Brahmananda. And then went away. He was giving sadhus. It was not needed thing. Other thing didn't have. After some time, what happened, one person came. He also poor, didn't have anything. He just saw one blanket lying, sadhu sitting. He took that blanket and went away. Latu Maharaj didn't react. For him, getting something and going something away was same. Labha, labho, jaya, jaya. Labha and alabha are same. So like that is Latu Maharaj. When Swami says whimsical means he is not attached to anything. He would give to someone. So he should have taken as it would have been my blessing and Latu Maharaj's blessing. You should do that. So I think we learn from this that when some holy person gives something without hesitation, we should accept that as the blessing of that person. That was Latu Maharaj. How he could understand the passage of Upanishad without even reading that. What the rishis have experienced and described that in the books, Latu Maharaj has experienced the same thing without even understanding that. Swami Vivekananda loved Latu Maharaj very much. When he came to Belur, started some rules that in the morning bell will ring and all will have to come at 4 o'clock in the shrine to meditate, all sadhus and brahmacharis. Now Latu Maharaj's routine was like that. He used to meditate whole night. For him 4 o'clock getting again and meditating was not possible. So one day he was seen going away from the mud. So Swami said, where are you going? No, I cannot live with you. Why? You ring the bell at 4 o'clock and my mind will be indrawn and go into meditation. That will not happen. With your bell, it will not sit for meditation, it will not be absorbed for meditation, so I want you to give you freedom. So Swami Vivekananda didn't say something, but he went a little further and said, all Latu back. And said, Latu, it is not, the rule is not meant for you. You are in a very high state. Rule is meant for the novices. They have to be disciplined. If we do not make some rules and discipline, how their spiritual life will grow. So, for you, no rule. For you, you may go, you may not go. For others, this is the rule. Once Swami Kripamayananda, Baburam Maharaj was seen not going at 4 o'clock. And Swami Vivekananda asked one disciple, go and pull him. So one person went, one brahmachari went and pulled his leg. He was sleeping, Baburam Maharaj. Swami Kripamayananda, Thakur's disciple, Ishwara Koti, and one brahmachari going and pulling. When Babu Maharaj saw brahmachari pulling, he understood it must be Swamiji behind. So he didn't say anything. So like that, they used to have a lot of fun among themselves. Swami Vivekananda used to call Latu Leto. Because it is called Leto, from others, Sri Ramakrishna used to call him Leto, not even Latu. His name was Raktu Ram. From Raktu Ram, it became Raktu. O Rama, please protect him. Raktu Ram. O Rama, please protect this boy. He had this small box when he was young. And from that it became Latu, and Swami Sri Ramakrishna lovingly called him Leto. And Swami Vivekananda said, you are not Leto, you are Plato. Why? You are very wise, you understand a lot of things. Once Swami Vivekananda said, you see, Leto, in the West, how Sri Ramakrishna is being admired by the people. Now, if small group, in time you will find many people will admire, many will accept only by admiration. So, if another Vivekananda was there, he could understand what this Vivekananda had to do. Latu Maharaj said, but what are you saying you have done? You have said nothing new. Whatever Buddha and Shankara has said, you have treaded that path. All this religion, the Sanatana Dharma is not giving something new. The same old ancient thing that will flow, that river is flowing, little direction, little new thing, little new way to represent that. That's what great teachers, when they come, they do that way. They don't start a new religion. So Swami Vivekananda admired, yes, you are a Plato. Once Swami Vivekananda took him to Kashmir with the Western disciples. There are many incidents. Then Swami Vivekananda seeing an old temple, said it must be very few thousand years old. Latu said, how do you know it's few thousand years old? Oh, how can I describe you? If I could describe you, then the thing would be done. You're not able to understand. They say, oh, you cannot even explain to me how it is so old, and you proclaim to be a great acharya. You cannot explain that even to a fool like me. So Latu Maharaj said, yes, you are a Plato. One day what happened, Latu Maharaj was always afraid of Western disciples, and particularly women. And Swami Vivekananda knew that. He wanted to break that thing in Latu Maharaj. Swami Vivekananda was such a great teacher, you wouldn't believe. Swami Premananda was a vegetarian. He never ate fish. He was born in a Vaishnava family. They were all sitting there, and suddenly Swami Vivekananda gave his fish to Baburam Maharaj. And then Baburam Maharaj, Swami Vivekananda gave, you all ate. And then Swami Vivekananda said, you are vegetarian, keep yourself to vegetarianism. You don't have to eat fish. But he broke that thing that sometimes these vegetarians have pride that we are vegetarian. You must to break that. Swami Premananda used to work in the shrine. One day he said, Baburamda, tomorrow you have to do seva. Go to the Belur market and serve some old people. No more puja doing tomorrow. That person, already elderly, he was senior to Swami Vivekananda age, but Swamiji said, that was so wonderful of this Ramakrishna order, that one brother monk, brother disciple was treated as Guru himself. Swami Vivekananda's order and wish were were regarded as the order of Sri Ramakrishna. That was the leadership of Swami Vivekananda. Baburam Maharaj went next day, found an old lady, brought him to Belur, gave him cloth, gave her food, gave her cloth, and served her like that. Because on the order or the wish of Swami Vivekananda, he wanted everyone to be involved in the service, not only puja in the temple. Service to the human beings is equally as important in spiritual practice as the worship of God in the temple that he wanted to see. To Latu Maharaj, so afraid of Western people, so one day what he did, he was in the Dal Lake, and the boat, it's called Shikara, houseboat, and he asked his Western devotees to go and approach Latu Maharaj. Latu Maharaj was outside, and he was just enjoying the nature, And he found some women, Western women, coming close to him. Now how to go? He cannot go back. There is no other way to go around. So how to get saved themselves? He jumped in the cold water of Dal Lake. And now Swami Vivekananda had to find someone, some boatman to pick him up. He picked him up and then he said to Latu Maharaj, "Why did you jump?" "Oh, those ladies were coming toward close to me. Then how do there was no way to go around and go away from there. Then I had to save myself." Then Swami said, "When you are with me, no harm will come to you, whether ladies or gents, whether Eastern or Western. You are with me, don't forget that. You are always protected." That was Swami Vivekananda, always protecting. So, that was one story of Swamiji. Swami Adbhutananda was also described. One day, Swami Abhedananda told me how hard he had worked in the West to preach the ideas of Sri Ramakrishna, and how after Swamiji's passing, his lecturing earned much praise from the Western sages. I said to him, it's Kumapundu Hussain, it was already late, "Maharaj, you and Swamiji are accomplished speakers and knowers of Brahman. It is no wonder that through the grace of Sri Ramakrishna, these things have come to you. But Latu Maharaj was unlettered. His wonderful life and his knowledge are brilliant examples of Sri Ramakrishna's miraculous power." Swami Abhedananda was moved by these words and said gently, "Yes, you are right. We, brother disciples, consider Latu Maharaj to be Sri Ramakrishna's miracle, a great soul such as he is very rare." That was the attitude of brother disciples towards Swami Adbhutananda Ji Latu Maharaj. His teachings were sometimes very subtle and very good. Once he said, how metaphorically see, dirt from outside enters through the windows, our sense organs. The very first thing that one should do is to check its entrance. How to do it? Write out a notice. This is all Latu Maharaj saying, unlettered person, you see. Write out a notice, no entrance, on the windows, and see that the notice is respected. If something dirty, unexpected thing comes, put it out, don't let it enter into you, through the eyes or through the ears. The trespassers should be immediately handed over to the police. If something enters, what is police? Discrimination, discernment. With the aid of the police, clear your house of all the undesirables. In that well-cleansed shrine, the heart, spread the seat for the Lord. And when he comes and takes his seat, then and not before does the fight comes to a victorious end. Swami Brahmananda always used to see spiritual practice is always a struggle. Struggle, struggle, struggle. Without that, there is no progress, there is no possibility. One has to fight with one's lower nature to attain to the higher nature. Here, Latu Maharaj explained that so beautifully, metaphorically, that windows should be guarded against entrance of undesirable things. Mosquito nets should be put there, so that only the thing that you need and want should come, not the thing that disturbs you. Latu Maharaj passed away on 24th April 1920. He was such a great example of spirituality. It's an example of Sri Ramakrishna's great transformation of human beings. His passing away was not less glorious than his life and his teachings. It's from the letter addressed to Miss Josephine MacLeod, dated May 12, 1920. Swami Turiyananda described Latu Maharaj's passing away. I am extremely sorry to let you know that Swami Adbhutananda, Latu Maharaj, is now no more. He breathed his last on the 24th of April. His passing away was indeed wonderful. He entered a meditative state from the first moment that he fell ill, and remained absorbed in that state until he gave up the body. He had developed a small blister on his right ankle, which developed into gangrene. All the best local medical help was sought, but to no avail. In 10 days, he expired. He showed no signs of pain during his illness. But the wonder of all wonders was that after his death, when his body was placed in a sitting position to conform with some of the funeral rites, we found him looking so beautiful, so serene, and full of peace and bliss. His face beamed with light and an intelligence unspeakable, as if he were taking leave from his friends for the last time, with an exhortation of affectionate benediction. Really, it was a sight for the gods to see. We chanted the name of the Lord for 3 hours, and then took his body, decorated with garlands of flowers and sandal paste, in procession to the side of the Ganga. Latu Maharaj entered into eternal peace, and another son of Sri Ramakrishna joins him, making us feel poorer for this irreparable loss. Indeed, we have lost a spiritual giant in the person of Latu Maharaj, whose illiteracy and unsophisticated life helped him most to become what he was, a genuine and ardent devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. In Benares, when monks die, they are put in the sitting position and are carried to Ganga. And in Ganga, they are given Salir Samadhi, they are not cremated. Salir Samadhi, their body, the holy body, is offered and immersed in the holy river Ganga. That was done to Latu Maharaj. Latu Maharaj's transformation, they say, when he started his spiritual manifestation of spiritual power and expression of spiritual upliftment, his behavior was gradually changing. He became brighter in appearance. His walking was different, his speaking was different. He became very stable and very composed and serene in his attitude. That was Latu Maharaj. How this is spiritual, if we grow spiritually, our whole life system is transformed, it changes. And a person seems to be a different person. The restlessness goes, the serenity comes, always empowered with Sattva Guna, from Tamas and Rajas, more of Sattva Guna, more of serenity, more of loving attraction, and the wisdom that empowers and enriches one's heart, that is expressed in all everything. That's why Arjuna asked Sri Krishna, how does a person of Sthita Pragya person, how does he walk, how does he talk, how does he see? That's what was asked. And the spiritual person has, everything is different from what he was before attainment of spirituality. The way he talks, the way he sees, the way he eats or she eats, is all, there is perfection in that. There is a beauty in that. One Swami used to tell me, I have seen that great Swami, and he was a very good observer. And I say, I have seen how do they eat. Even their eating is spiritual. Sri Ramakrishna at one place, when one person becomes really immersed in the love of God, everything becomes of love. The way he looks is look of love. The way he walks is walk of love. The way he eats is eating of love. Everything is love for God and manifested in everything they do. This Swami told me, the way monks were eating, I felt it was so different. He was like offering food, he was enjoying every bit, and he was so happy with every morsel coming to his mouth. Not the taste, not the food item, but the very action of eating, very action of washing hands, very action of talking, the very sweetness in the smile, that all comes with spiritual attainment. That was Latu Maharaj's At the last moment, he didn't feel any pain. Gangrene is very painful, and he didn't feel, he never complained of the pain. And when he passed away, he was beaming, glowing with the peace and simplicity. That's Swami Adbhutananda was. Adbhutananda was indeed, that's why the greatest miracle of Sri Ramakrishna. If he had not met Sri Ramakrishna, all this potency of spirituality that he might have had, that Sri Ramakrishna recognized, but will it find its way for manifestation? That is the question. And when we met Sri Ramakrishna, then Ascharyo Labdha Kusalasya, Ascharyo Bhakta Kusalasya Labdha. Teacher is great, no doubt. Student, though unlettered, is great. That greatness is very deep lying here. It is like Ekalavya. Ekalavya becoming the great archer without any formal training by any human guru. Just he accepted one guru and his own inner power came. Here Guru comes in person, guides every step, how to meditate, how to work, how to talk, how to avoid bad things. And the student, that he was very perfect student, he accepts everything, every guidance, in toto he follows, and he blooms into great spiritual giant, a miracle, the greatest miracle of Sri Ramakrishna. Today is the Janmatithi, the birthday of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Adbhutananda, according to the Hindu calendar. And we pray to Swami Adbhutananda to bless us, to make us simple like him, to make us devoted to Sri Ramakrishna like him, and with his grace and his blessing, we will also attain our spiritual maturity. Thank you.